Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a long week, and I have a lot of updates for you guys. As you guys know, last week we had the ADU Academy. We also had the TinyFest, and I also had my first meetup of 2025 in Huntington Beach. So a lot happened, and I have a lot of updates, a lot of things that I learned, specifically from the ADU Academy, also from TinyFest, a lot of new things happening in that space. And that same week, or actually early last week, we also had the monthly call with Casita Coalition. So if you're not a member, definitely consider becoming a member, whether you're a first-time investor, a homeowner, or an ADU advocate, or somebody who's in the ADU world as an architect or contractor. This is a great organization that I think you should be a part of because it really helps you stay on top of a lot of the things that are going on. So maybe I'll start off with that, and then I'll kind of give you guys a quick recap on the events that happened. So with Casita Coalition, for those of you who don't know, they support and sponsor a lot of the ADU bills that have happened in the past, and then they're always working to make things a lot better. So I'm going to go over some of these bills that they're sponsoring, kind of give you my take on the good things about it. Obviously, me being pro ADUs, and then just other things to kind of look out for, and how does this really affect you as a homeowner or as an investor. Like I said, if you're not a member, definitely become one. They have events and webinars. They also have courses. I personally took the ADU cohort course, which was great. It's a very basic 101 type of course, and then they have some other high level ones once you get past that. So it's a great place to get started. But yeah, nonetheless, they really do a lot of movement around ADUs. We have a lot to thank them for pushing a lot of the ADU legislation and helping ADUs just grow a lot more in California like they have in other states. This is the Casita sponsoring bills, and I'm going to go over most of them here just to give you guys a quick update. And I'm hoping that a lot of this comes to fruition. This is the 2025 ADU middle housing legislation, and these are some of the bills that they're supporting. So the first one is AB 6 Ward has to do with residential building code for small unit developments. This is one that obviously I'm not working as much within the development community. It's more on like smaller ADU build outs or small multifamily. But this for developers is huge. The Housing and Community Development Agency are going to be working in a group and helping streamline the process to lower these costs for residential building code. And it's great. I think for plexes and low-rise multifamily projects, this is going to be a good one to help not only streamline but also save time and money at the end of the day. It is one that I'll be looking into now that I'm tapping into more, multifamily projects. Casita is also supporting AB 1154. This one is one of my favorite ones, and I actually called it. I knew that they were going to make some changes or reforms to owner occupancy. So this one says removes owner occupancy restrictions for JADUs, junior ADUs that don't share a bath with the primary home. So it's important to make note of that. It also removes parking requirements for an ADU under 500 square feet. So before, you couldn't build a junior ADU without having that owner occupancy. Actually, it was both at the time, both the junior ADU and the ADU, which eliminated a lot of investors who are wanting to rent out their properties, right, and want to build. Because owner occupancy, for those of you who don't know, it means it needs to be owner occupied, meaning you can build a junior ADU, but you have to live in the main home. You can rent it out, you can rent out the junior ADU, but you have to be living on that main residence. And so that also eliminated a lot of the investors who were thinking of buying in a specific neighborhood to build an ADU and a junior ADU. And so now with this, what this means is we no longer need to have the owner occupancy for a junior ADU that doesn't share a bathroom. So with junior ADUs, we still had the owner occupancy into effect. I think it was until 2025, and now they've removed that, which is great. But what this means is that for junior ADUs that do have a shared bathroom, you still need the owner occupancy, which is understandable. But it's something to make note of. If you're going to convert a junior ADU, let's say you're converting a fourth bedroom to your house, or you're extending to one of the bedrooms, you do have the option to have a shared bathroom. But if you choose to go that route, know that you will have to have that owner occupancy. You have to live in the property. So I would much rather you maybe extend a little bit more, or somehow figure out how to build that bathroom in the unit so it's completely independent from the main house, and you don't have to worry about having that certificate of occupancy. So that's a good one. Definitely one that I think helps remove so much for investors specifically, and even for homeowners too. It gives you the flexibility to, rent it out for now, maybe live in the ADU, rent out the main home. It creates a lot more flexibility for you to be able to do that. The next one is AB 413. FONG. This one requires HCD public-facing housing resources to be offered in more languages. And then also the handbooks, the forms and other resources for ADUs and middle housing to be prepared by Housing, which is HCD, Housing and Community Development Agency, would be made available in languages spoken by substantial number of Californians, and which that is happening already. That would be awesome. It's really going to help people. There's also a shortcut spreadsheet that was given to us from Casita that really helps you reference the code in a much cleaner way. I think that's one of the other bills here that I'll talk about. But that one was great. So just a lot of inclusivity, because sometimes the government code or even the HCD handbook can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if all these are new terms for you, right? You just have to become more familiar with the terminology, and that helps you understand everything else. AB 474, Ward, the Home Share Act exempts income from renting a room to a long-term tenant throughout a nonprofit home share organization from the homeowner's state income tax, and prevents such income from affecting income from qualifying for assistance. So this one's great as well. I think home sharing is a least expensive option, for people living in high dense areas. So this is one to definitely keep an eye on. SB 9 2025, the confusing name of SB 9 for this year removes owner occupancy restrictions for existing ADUs in addition to proposed ones. There were a couple of issues with SB 9. I don't know that I did a video on it last year, but there's a couple of charter cities that were giving pushback and said that there was a lot of discrepancies with the SB 9 process. And so now they've kind of refined that and also made a couple adjustments to it. This important clarification will require the removal of deed restrictions on existing ADUs and help resolve the patchwork of local rules, creating confusion and limiting financing options for homeowners. I mean, that's something that we struggle with still, whether it's SB 9 or a regular ADU or multiple ADUs. It's the financing, specifically for investors on residential, because in multifamily, it's very different. You can leverage a lot of the income that's going to be produced by these units to help you qualify for it. You're qualifying the building rather than the person. So that makes it a lot easier. SB 462, this one exempts ADUs in the county of LA and other counties where states of emergency have been declared. So this one, with the LA fires really kind of helped speed up this process. And what this helps is provisions of the Coastal Act requiring a coastal development permit for a new development. As you guys know, working with Coastal Commission is a nightmare because you've got to go through so many hurdles to get your project approved, whether it's a simple ADU garage conversion, or an actual like full on development or ground up. And with everything that's happening with the fires, it's just easier for people to be able to go past this hurdle. And I'm hoping that at some point you just remove the fact of needing coastal commission or historic district, to get involved when it comes to building ADUs. Like if we could get to a point where everything is completely streamlined and you don't have pushback from coastal HOAs, historic things like that. I mean, it really would help, and it would definitely help us build faster. Okay, the next one, we've got AB 736. There's a couple more, so hang in there with me. I really want to get through most of them because they all really do serve a purpose. And it just goes to show you like one legislation can really either affect your strategy. I'll finish it off with what happened with San Diego, just to show it as an example. But it could also do the opposite, right? It can accelerate your strategy, your investment strategy. So this one is the Affordable Housing Bond Act. Proceeds from the sale of these bonds would be used to finance programs to fund affordable rental housing and homeownership programs, which is great. So stay tuned for opportunities to support these bills. Like I said, make sure you get involved. All you have to do is become a member. I think the membership is very low for the year. And I don't get anything out of it. I'm just sharing that this is a great resource, a great community to be a part of. So here's some of the highlighted ones that we talked about at the Academy. Brian from How to ADU was there, and he kind of gave us a quick recap. And also Jared, who had a lot to do with all of this, also gave us a recap on some of the bills. So this one was a hot topic because we all know someone who has an ADU that has been unpermitted or, not legal for some time, and they want to get it permitted. I'm sure you guys as builders or architects or real estate agents or anyone, you've come across somebody who has an ADU but didn't get the proper permits for it. Well, this new law helps to preserve existing informal ADU rentals and the important role they play for homeowners while ensuring the safety for tenants. And so this new law specifies the code standards for local agencies that they must use to assess safety, cut fees and charges for lower resource homeowners, and requires cities to provide a checklist of standards that units have to meet up front, which is great because before there was a lot of issues around like how do you permit an unpermitted ADU? There wasn't really a defined process. It was almost like you had to go through the same exact process as a new build or as a new conversion process, and kind of go through the motion where you submit the plans. You have to go through the set of inspections, and in order to do that, it really ended up costing these homeowners probably the same, if not in some cases more than tearing the whole thing down and building a new one. And so every ADU that's unpermitted has been built to a different code, right, and a different standard. And so what they're asking is for the cities to have a checklist that really streamlines the process of what is going to be asked for this unpermitted unit to become a legal unit. And so that'll be a very unique and different case from, a new ADU, but it's great that at least they're dedicating time to it, because a lot of the whole reason why these ADUs came about in the first place, ADUs have been around for a long time, and a lot of them were unpermitted at some point. So that's how they eventually became a thing, and now this is where we are. So I think it's great for people who have an unpermitted structure, know of someone who has an unpermitted structure. It's not over there. You're not going to have to tear it down. You do have options now, and this will be a good one to kind of keep an eye on. AB 1033, this one's been a very hot topic since the beginning of the year, last year, or late last year as well, which is separate sale of ADUs as condos. This is already happening in other states like Washington, I believe Oregon, but I know for sure Washington has been doing this where they condoize multiple ADUs and then sell them off. Now we're in a phase where the state said you can sell off your condo, but cities have to opt in. And so far, Berkeley, Santa Clarita, and San Jose have been three of the cities that have opted in to this. And so now we're kind of in this phase of, okay, how do we implement it? And I know San Jose has a checklist, so that's probably what this is here. And we are encouraging a lot of other local cities to opt in. I think eventually every city is going to opt in. We're just waiting to see what that process will look like. I'm also curious to see what the cost is going to be, what the time frame is going to be, because I've heard a couple different things. And so I don't know that this would make sense for your typical residential structure, but if you're building multiple ADUs on a lot, it may make sense. So here it says only 15% of Californians can afford to purchase a home. Sad but true. The economic impact to the state, communities, and families are immense. And in the many places in the US where it is common, ADU condos commonly sell for about 30 to 40% less than single detached homes. And that's true because we're always getting calls from, I just had one yesterday with someone who has hired 3 appraisers to value his property. He has, I believe it's a junior ADU and an ADU, and he's getting very, very little value for them. And that's because they just don't value them the same way, especially if you're working with an appraiser that doesn't really understand how to take the income approach or other approaches besides just a simple sales comparison approach, because you're not going to find that many for sale, one, and that many built, two, right, in that specific neighborhood. So you have to do a little bit more research in order to give it the value. But once you're able to sell it off and it has its own parcel number or it has its own, it's an actual condo, the value is going to increase, which then unfortunately everything else will increase. So the cost to build is going to increase. I know a lot of people right now are like, oh yeah, well then if I can build my ADU for 200,000, once we condoize it, it's going to be worth 600,000, and I'll be able to 3x, 4x, 6x my ROI. But then what's going to happen is the cost to build it, I think this is my take. Like once you can convert them into condos, everybody's going to pick up on that, and the cost to build them is going to skyrocket because the value is too. So hopefully it doesn't, but with inflation, costs of living and everything else, just anticipate that things are going to go up. The same way we want values to go up, the cost of living and cost of goods will also go up. But nonetheless, it's a good strategy. This new rule allows for cities and counties, like I said, to opt in. That's the key term there. So if you are very active with your city, I'm very active in Long Beach and all neighboring cities. We have been emailing, calling, letting them know like the benefits of opting into AB 1033, and then sharing the checklist, which I'll have it in the description below, along with the government cheat sheet code that I mentioned, I think when I was talking about this one here. So yeah, I'll share that with you guys. And yeah, I mean, other than that, we've got a couple other ones, but I'll do a separate video, I think, for multifamily specifically. And yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think? What's your take on some of these bills? Are you pro ADUs? Are you not? I always like to have conversations with people and understand their mindset. And then for those of you who are interested, I do have a couple more events coming up. I've always got stuff going on just to build community and continue to cultivate relationships with people that I would like to do business with. So this can be architects, builders, realtors, investors, developers, brokers, other property management companies, because as you guys know, I do management. So on May 4th, I'm having a bonfire in Playa del Rey, which is very close to Manhattan Beach, near LAX for anyone in that area. Most of my meetups have been in Huntington Beach and Orange County. So I'm just trying to cater to LA as well. And that'll be a very informal ADU bonfire. It's going to be very family oriented. We're going to have a charcuterie board. We'll have refreshments for you guys, and you guys can come on by and just have a conversation with us and talk to other ADU advocates who are also thinking of either helping people with the LA fires and rebuilding, helping themselves with their investment strategies, and just overall connecting with people who are really into wellness and intentional living, which are some of the things that I'm very passionate about aside from ADUs. So just trying to merge both of my passions together, right? And then the next ADU meetup will be once again in Huntington Beach. This one's going to be June 12th. It's on a Thursday from 5 to 7:30. And I'll have details about that as well. You guys will see the links. All you have to do is RSVP for both of these. And I always have a couple other things. I'm always part of webinars or in-person events. So if this sounds like something that you think of someone who'd be interested in having me and my team go and have a speaking event and go over a lot of ADU policy or process or case studies, we'd be more than happy to do so. And then that's it. I think one of the things I did want to talk about for the Academy was it was great. We learned so much. There was a good turnout. There was a lot of people from San Diego. And one of the things I did want to tell you guys was in San Diego, there's this ADU bonus program. And with the ADU bonus program, there was someone who apparently overdid it with the bonus program where they built too many ADUs in a residential lot. And this basically caused for this homeowner and a lot of people in that specific neighborhood to protest against the bonus program. And it got to the point where they were actually going to eliminate the ADU bonus program, which then would have really affected so many people. Because if you don't know, in San Diego, they're actually building multiple ADUs at scale because of this program. Because as long as the property is in a transit neighborhood, they basically, and you offer one of the units 1-for-1 as an affordable unit, you're able to build unlimited ADUs. Although it sounds crazy, it works. It really is helping people build a lot of housing. But I do agree that in specific neighborhoods, it's just not that strategy. So that was crazy. Like whoever did it, they built like 30 something ADUs, and it just didn't even go with the aesthetics of the neighborhood. It completely looked out of place. And, what homeowners decided to push back, they were going to eliminate it. But what they ended up doing was they ended up refining and making a couple modifications to the current ADU bonus program by removing some of the R1, I think it's R1 through R6 type of zoning that is no longer allowed for ADU bonus. And so it just goes to show you, like, be mindful when you're building because you've got people who will be giving a lot of pushback. Unfortunately, I get both sides, but definitely leaning more on the pro housing side because we are limited in inventory. We are very limited and we are in a shortage of housing. And so the only way to really solve this issue is by building more and building affordable. And we can't do either or if we're limited to how much we can build. And, developing in California is already difficult as it is. So I think being able to use ADUs as a strategy and as a vehicle to get there and build multiple units at scale is great. But just be mindful of where you're doing it, talk to neighbors, get the community involved, and then get everybody's take and ultimately do what you think is best for you and your investors and your strategy and everyone else, right, at the same time. So that was very interesting because it really would have changed everything had they removed the entire bonus program. And so always keep in mind, right? Like whatever strategy you have, make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure you, for whatever strategy you have, always play out worst case scenario. And there's always going to be other strategies that you can pivot to. It's just having clarity on those strategies. And if you need help with any of the things I just mentioned, this is something that I do all the time. I mean, I talk to people and we strategize on how they should pivot, how they should try something else or stick to what they're doing and continue to build it at scale. And that's it for now, guys. I'm going to do a separate video, I think, for the events themselves, each one. Like I said, the Academy was great. TinyFest, there's so much to talk about with TinyFest that I think it needs its own video where I talk about the hype around building tiny homes, especially in the Pacific Palisades and Altadena and everywhere where the fires were impacted. And then transform those tiny homes with the proper process to build it, convert them into an ADU, basically. I think there's differences between the two. Just because it's a tiny home doesn't mean that it's an ADU. But there are tiny homes that you can buy that have the proper building code to be able to get permitting to become an actual ADU, if that makes sense. So I'll do a separate video on that. The event, my meetup was great. I think it was a good turnout, and I'm hoping that we get a lot more people June 12th. So make sure you guys register. Make sure you also come by to the bonfire and any other event. And then I have a surprise too. I am working on my website finally. And I'm very excited to showcase what that's going to look like. I'll also create a video to help you guys navigate through it, whether you're a realtor, investor, homeowner, or even an ADU practitioner who would like to collaborate with me. I would definitely, love for you to support, and I'll make sure to share that with you guys. All right, well, that's it for now. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this with someone who you think might find this valuable, and I'll see you on the next one.